Yeah, it's not. It wasn't working. I don't know. I can hear you. I can hear you, but I don't know if they can. This is a disaster. Yeah, it's not. It wasn't working. Oh, we're good now. We're not. Yeah. Well, I think we should just kind of do a quick update. We haven't gone live in what, like 2 weeks now? Week. Um, so we've been super busy. We launched the land flipping formula. For those interested, it's landinvestingpros.com. But we've been really busy getting that launched. Um, we've also been really busy selling properties. Our business has not stopped at all during all this chaos that's going on with the virus and everyone being stuck at home. So we go over some quick stats. I think last week we sold 7 properties. We sold 10 properties the week before that. And this week, what is it, Wednesday? I think we've sold 3 or 4 already. Yeah, so now it's a great time to get involved still. Yeah, so, so yeah, we're gonna kind of dial back in time, and we're gonna talk about Willie when he started like 3+ years ago. Because we were talking about it today, we were like, what would you do differently if you were to start over again? So I think we'll just dial it back. Willie, can you talk about your first couple deals, like how they went down and what your mindset was during the those first couple deals? Can or cannot?
Audio. Okay, I think I figured it out. Oh, can you hear me now? I think I'm live now, or I think the audio should work now. And if you can hear me, let me know. Okay, so I think we're good. I think we're good to fly, Paul. Yeah, so just let it fly. Okay, they can hear me now. Great. Thanks, Marcus. Thanks, Rich. Yeah, yeah. So my first deal was out in it was in rural Arizona, out in Yavapai County, Arizona, and I sent out. I got data from the county tax collector and purchased property, or I sent out blind. Or I sent out postcards based on that. And um, can I hear you? Well, we just traded places. So input capture. Let me try to do it to the. Okay, can you hear me now? And can you hear Paul now?
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Can't hear Paul. Rich, I don't know if you could hear Paul now
Hey, hello, hello, hello.
or Marcus. If you could let us know if you could hear Paul. Probably not.
Dang, this is going super well.
Yeah, well, we're trying this new software and it's failing pretty badly right now. So both work. Great.
Both
Now we're good.
great.
All right. So yeah, I sent out mail in rural Arizona, and I used the county tax records to to get my list. And so I that was really when I was getting started. Didn't really know what I was doing. Didn't know how to
Can
target
you tell
areas.
me, like, I don't, my training is strictly from when we started together, and we don't mess around. What can you explain to those who, what, because anyone that's like our student or involved with us knows, like, don't ever go to the county records. Can you just talk about that process and how it works?
Yeah, so I would say I think going to the county records is a good idea, like to get a good list, but it doesn't allow you to target good areas. Like you want to focus on targeting the best markets in the county where you think you're going to be able to buy and sell property. And that list it's usually from at least when I did it, it was not a very targeted list. It was just like all the tax delinquent properties, and most of them are vacant land, and so you send out offers to them. And so if you want to get targeted with the list, I mean that's really why I don't advise doing it. The second reason why is because you actually have to call the county and get the list in a CD format or whatever kind of format and have it sent to you. And so it's just a little bit more. I mean, it adds another step. Whereas you can go to a third-party data source like DataTree and just download the data and hyper-target an area and know exactly what you're going to get from that mailer. So that's kind of the difference there. So it's a little bit cumbersome getting the data from the county. It takes a long time and it's not as streamlined. So I mean, that was the process. It took like a few weeks to even get the data, but yeah. So I mean, that was the process, and so after doing all that, I got the stupid spreadsheet or the stupid CD, uploaded it and downloaded the data. It was all in a weird format. I spent a really long time sorting it and formatting it, and trying to get into a form where I could actually send out postcards. I ended up doing it. I'm pretty good at Excel and pretty good at like doing this, but then I actually sent it out and I got so much return mail. It was the whole process was all screwed up, and so I ended up sending out postcards and I got a bunch of interest, and um, and so I had a lot of people calling me, and and so I started filtering through, and I had no idea how to make offers or look up property or come up with comps, and but I eventually had a bunch of leads coming through, and I filtered it down to some that might be interesting to me. Some were like on a cliff, um, and I made an offer of a property that was assessed at like 30 or 40 grand, and I made an offer of like 3 grand because I was super conservative when I got started, didn't know what I was doing, and for whatever reason that person accepted the offer. They had not paid taxes on it for a while and ended up buying that property, and so the whole thing was just a big scramble. Didn't know at all what I was doing, and ended up actually turning a pretty good profit on that deal. But like looking back on that experience, it was just a huge scramble that was not very necessary. And um, yeah, so I mean that's the basis of like what happened. It was all chaos happening at the same time. But the end result worked out very well just because this business model works very well. But I could have avoided a lot of chaos had I done things properly starting out.
I yeah, I think it's funny seeing other people posting about what they're when they're starting out, like what they're spending their time on. Like people are telling you that you should, like, to take time to look at to skip trace the return mail on properties. Like that is such a waste of time. Would you not agree? Like all the return mail and like sit there and skip trace it and resend it back out.
Yeah, so I mean that's maybe good advice for house wholesalers, but for this niche, like you get so many leads coming through that it doesn't make sense, like really at all, to do that.
Yeah, that I just see a lot of I feel like I just see a lot of bad advice out there. Um, Okay, so we talked about your first property. Talk about that property you bought for $20.
Yeah, so the property I bought for $20, it was out in Otero
That was when you
County.
first started as well, right?
Yeah, that was one of my first few deals. That was out in Otero County, New Mexico, a area that, I mean, Timberon's a subdivision if for some people looking to get started. If you're looking to buy in a cheaper area, Timberon. So I bought property out there, and this particular lot was like very much on the side of a hill. Like that whole area is very hilly and kind of mountainous, and so it was like at the end of this long road, dirt road that it was really hard to access. And I didn't know what I was doing at that time. And so like I thought this property was totally worthless. I thought no one would buy it. Um, and so I just started making offers. I mean, that's just kind of what I did. Like I sent out mail and like uh, made really, really low offers because I had no idea if anyone would buy these things. So I was really, really conservative. And this particular lot I wasn't interested in at all because like I said, it was the end of the road, tough dirt road, hard to like the topography was really, really bad. And so the lady's like, just please make me an offer. I don't want this property. I'm paying taxes on it. Taxes were delinquent a little bit too. And she's like, just give me a couple dollars and I'll sign the deed and get it over to you. And so I was like, here, let me give you $20 and I'll send you a deed. You could and you can go to your bank, get it notarized, sent to me, and I'll get it sent to the county. So that ended up happening. So I bought the property for $20. There were a few $100 in delinquent taxes on it, and so I started to just try to market and sell the property, and eventually sold it for like $2,500. And so at that point, I mean, that was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. There's definitely some opportunity here, but I was still fumbling around doing everything wrong. Um, and yeah, so I mean, you can buy property for $20 and turn a profit. I would say that's not the norm, but I mean, as you start going through this, you start realizing that there are crazy deals that you can have, and yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much the story of what went down there.
Love it. I love it. Okay, so what was the timeline between your first several deals, and then like because I'm what I'm getting at is like how long before you started to ramp it up? I want everyone to kind of understand.
Yeah, so I would say I sent out that mailer from the tax delinquent list and started buying property. And so I didn't send out much mail right after that. I kind of wanted to prove the concept a little bit and make sure that it works before I sent out another mailer. So I can't remember the exact time frame, but I know I bought that property and then I sent out I sent out another mailer only right after I sold that first property. I happened to sell that property pretty quickly because like I said, the assessed value was over 30 grand. I had bought it for three. And so I priced it very, very low. And so I did get a buyer relatively quickly, which in retrospect was pretty lucky because that allowed me to get the confidence to continue sending out mail. So that all happened probably within 30 days. And then after that, I sent out mail to a few other different counties. And um, and from there, I got a bit more aggressive because the concept was proven. And yeah, at that point, I was like, all right, let's really start to dig in and try to scale this thing.
So I guess when you first started, what was your mindset like jumping into it? Like I know like you wanted to kind of quit your job, but like so you did like a first deal, a couple deals. Like, what was your goal? What was your mindset?
Um, yeah, so I mean, when I started the niche, yeah, the goal was definitely to quit my job and start doing something full time because I wasn't super pleased where I was in the corporate world and knew that this could be something to get out of it. And so, um, yeah, so I mean that was my mentality going into it. I wanted to prove the concept before I started to really spend a bunch of money because for me as getting started, like even buying that list and sending out postcards, I sent out 300 postcards. It's like looking back, that's absolutely nothing, and almost half of them were returned to me. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money, but even at that time, spending like the 250, $300 for that mailer it felt like a lot to me. But I mean, I always had the goal in mind to try to get out of my job, but I just wanted to prove the concept first and so yeah, I mean, like at that point, once I did that first deal, the goal was really set in my mind. I started writing down the date I wanted to quit. I didn't actually meet that goal, but um, ever since then, I really started to get aggressive, and I had the mindset, okay, let's make this work, because I mean, clearly there's a marketplace for vacant land. There's people posting all over the internet in all states, in all areas. So clearly there's a market for it. I know that I'm able to buy it at a discount. And that was proven over and over again. When I started sending out mail, I started to actually realize, wow, like I'm like there's so much interest to sell these properties. And I mean, me and you now know that buying these properties is really, really easy. And we have, I mean, we just went over our database and we have like 150 leads that we're just reviewing. So that was the point where I was like, okay, yeah, there are willing sellers. I'm able to buy this at a discount. I realized there is a marketplace for vacant land, and I knew there were people doing it full time, and so I wanted to kind of get there. And that was the point where I realized that this could be very scalable, just because, I mean, all you need is more money. I mean, these deals don't take a lot of time, but so so yeah, that was really the point where I just tried to get a little bit more aggressive, buy more property, and try to build up like a comfortable income that I could quit my job. And it wasn't until about a year later that I actually developed a much better strategy through owner financing to allow me to build up the continuous income, the consistent, predictable income, which is really what we're all striving for, and that provides us the comfort to allow us to quit our job. But that was really when the seed was set, and the goal was set to, all right, let's make this a full-time thing.
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple things that we can uncover right there. So after you quit your job, what was your next goal? Did you have a dollar amount goal? Did you have a deal amount goal? Like what was your specific goal, and how did you come up with that goal after you quit your job? Because obviously, you want to try to level up in everything that you're doing. So the first level was quitting your job. What was the next level, and what was the goal that was set, and how long did it take to get that goal?
Yeah, so I mean, at the time I quit my job, um, obviously felt comfortable financially, so I was earning a bit more on the side, and I
And
was
real quick, those that are on with us right now, put in the chat box what your goal is. If you're a land investor or looking into land or whatever it may be, put it in the thing, and we'll let's uncover it. But back to you.
Yeah, so I mean, at the time, I was very conservative, and before I developed like the entrepreneurial mindset, like right now, um, I'd be like out of the job day one. But I didn't. You have to go through a process of like changing your mindset and understanding that, okay, you can actually do something on your own, and support yourself, and it is sustainable, and it is consistent and predictable. So that was really, really a tough mindset change for me. So my goal originally was to kind of start earning enough money on the side to feel comfortable to do that. For me, it took me a little bit longer to feel comfortable and take that jump. Even though in retrospect, I could have done it a bit sooner. So that was my original goal. And then I started to earn more income on the side, and then I hit that goal, which allowed me to quit my job. Thereafter, it was a little bit different. And so I set just more personal goals, just financial goals and sales goals for the business, and I kind of wanted a receivable amount, because we sell these things on terms, and I wanted a monthly passive income amount, and so I tried to hit those for. I mean, at this point, it's been pretty much 2 years since I've quit my job, and so I set goals for. I think it was when was that 2018? Yeah, 2018 year end, and then 2019 year end, just passive income goals and pretty much sales goals for the business. And it's pretty crazy when you dedicate 100% of your time to something, how much like and you have 100% focus on that, and like you really have some fire under you to hit it. It's pretty crazy how productive you can be, and the amount that you can accomplish over a period of months is pretty amazing. And so I mean, the only way, I mean, it took me quitting my job and forcing myself to do that to actually realize that and go through that change. And even since then, like the goals that I've set for myself, like I've hit and surpassed, and I'm like, it's pretty amazing to me what me and you even alone have done in such a short period of time. Um, I mean, can you believe how much we've done when we started? Like, I haven't even met you for more than like 6, 7, 8 months. I met you like 8 months ago.
It's been like 9 months. But yeah, we've done some crazy stuff in a really short amount of time. Hold on real quick. We got a bunch of comments here from Rich and Marcus. So Rich is a new student.
Yeah, so Rich, owner finances, he's just got single family homes that he's owner financing, and so he's doing pretty well, as it is, and he just wants he's getting other people, other like financial people involved. He doesn't want any like like he doesn't want any leverage, I guess, and he wants to simplify things and thinks the land business can do so. So I mean, I feel very strongly that like a lot of people should gravitate towards this niche from other areas in real estate, like Rich, and he's doing very well. Like he said, 15 grand in a month passive. Um, so, but I think I mean the reason he's interested and why we're interested is because this business model is very scalable and it's very simple. And I mean, you could do a lot. You could do very well with not a ton of capital. And I think that's really what me and you've been harping on.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw Marcus's comments here. Having no work right now, and you'd be thrilled with 3,000 a month. I mean, if Marcus, if you were interested in jumping into land, it'd be pretty. Wouldn't be too hard to build up to $3,000 a month if you have some initial investment. Right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean now is kind of like the perfect example of you can't rely on your W-2, you can't rely on your job for a stable income, and that, I mean that was also partly the reason I was motivated to get out. I mean, it was primarily motivated. I want to do something on my own, but I mean also in the back of my mind, it's always like, all right, they have control over everything, all my finances. If they want to get rid of me one day because either we're in a recession or I'm not doing well in my job, they could just kind of get rid of me. And so, I mean, yeah, like Marcus is suggesting, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and so I mean, he'd be thrilled with 3,000 a month by the end of 2020. And I think, I mean, if you
I
got
think if
started
you have
today,
enough money, you could accomplish that in probably 2-3 months, right?
I mean, once you get rolling, uh, yeah, I mean, it's not even that crazy to get if you get aggressive early on. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do that. How many? So if you want 3,000 a month in passive income, say your average note is 250 a month, so you need 12 notes. So you need 12 sales. So you could I mean, like when you first get started, you don't know how to buy and sell these things. It took me about 6 months to sell my first deals, but now we're selling. Um, I mean, we're selling 10 deals in a week.
We
So I mean, it like you could ramp up to that level. I would say within 3 months would be really, really good. Within 6 months is definitely doable. Um, and I think from 6 months to 12 months, like you could quadruple that if not more. Just because you know how to do it, you know the process. But I think realistically, saying 6 months to get 3 grand is not crazy. And I would say in your first year, 10,000 a month is very, very realistic. And I think if you want to get more aggressive, you certainly can. And I think those are just achievable numbers if you're hustling and doing things consistently.
definitely.
Rich says that Marcus could get a capital partner, and yeah, so I think that's another way to get started. And if you don't have money, but you know friends who are trying to earn some income, you could certainly do like partner deals. Like they fund the deal, you've got the
Didn't you
deal,
do
they
that?
want to earn some
Didn't you do
money.
that a little bit in the beginning?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I ran out of capital a few times, and then I did. Yeah, I've definitely raised capital from people and just pretty much did this profit split. They fund the deal, I found the deal, they fund it, and then profit split on the back end 50-50. So that's certainly a way to get started. Um, so I don't think that's. I think yeah. I mean, fundamentally, you could get started with just mailer money. I would recommend having mailer money, but I would also find a capital partner as well. I'd have that lined up. Um, and so yeah, I mean, you could certainly do that right away, and I would recommend doing that if you're in a capital crunch. Uh,
Um, so one thing you mentioned that we didn't get a chance to go through is you took you 6 months to make your first deal. Um, and I know that the reason is because you were only offering cash deals. Why were you only offering cash deals and not owner financing in the beginning?
so cash deals, I wanted to churn and burn stuff, and well, honestly, the real reason that I didn't offer owner financing is because I didn't know that that is what the market wanted. I
And
thought
other people are, and it was because you took a course and someone else taught you to don't do owner financing or what?
I mean, that was, I mean, I was not taught to do owner financing. So I think that's part of it. But um, yeah, so I mean, I honestly didn't know the technical details. I was never taught how to do it. And so therefore I didn't do it. But I mean, after like starting to realize and talking to like, I don't even know, honestly, thousands of buyers have started to realize that, okay, there is a need for people who want to just put a few $100s down or a few $1,000s down on a property rather than paying the whole thing up front. And from my mind, it made a lot more sense. Okay, I'd rather just get the cash, get it, buy it, sell it cheaper, get the cash, and turn it around and invest that. But very, very honestly, that's just not how you're not going to sell nearly as many properties if you're not offering owner financing. And so I think over time I realized that I think I probably could, I mean I probably would have quit my job and been able to do this on my own a hell of a lot quicker if I started doing that from the beginning, because I guarantee you I would have sold way more properties in my first year doing this, or even my first 6 months doing this, had I had the insight to offer owner financing. So I can't emphasize enough that that's really really been helpful in my journey. And yeah, that's one thing I changed. And once I flipped that switch, man, it really started to kind of skyrocket a bit. Um, so
So I guess if you were to, I guess let's talk about what we did when we first partnered up. And I think for those that are well funded and those that want to kind of beat the learning curve, and those that don't, that want to basically just speed everything up, we'll kind of talk about what we did. So Willie and I, we started our formal partnership in end of August, beginning of September, and we didn't sell our first property until the end of November, basically, or beginning of November. We wanted to build up. What was the dollar amount that we wanted to build up before we even started?
the dollar amount for what?
How many properties we bought before we even launched our website?
Oh, I mean, I don't know, maybe 500,000, or I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, somewhere around there.
yeah. So we spent 2.5 months building up our inventory, and our goal was to have $1 million worth of inventory by April of 2020. And right now we're at like 2.5 or 3.
Sorry, yeah, within 6 months we wanted to have a million in inventory. Because our goal was 10 million in sales, and we kind of backed into what it would require for us to do that. And the way we did that is 10 million and divide that pretty much by four. What's our margin going to be on that? So we need each quarter we need 2.5 in sales, 2.5 million in sales. In order to get that, we want to be just conservative. Our margins are actually a bit better than this, but we would need a million in inventory to get to that 2.5 each quarter, and then we need to turn it 4 times. That was the logic behind it.
Yeah, yeah. So we wanted to build up a bunch of inventory because we essentially chose our territory, and we said we're going to be, this is our area. We're going to own this area, and so we bought as many properties as we could in a short period of time. And then once we had a big variety to choose from, that's when we went live with our website, and it just like took off really fast. We started like, we didn't really get everything rolling until like Black Friday, and now we're just cranking. It's
Yeah.
a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, so let's go to the comments, I guess. Marcus was saying, replying to Rich, I've got a little database of people who fund www.fundmyprobablyland.com. My problem is people who found all different criteria. So I'm thinking wholesaling is the best route for me, but I'm still open to input. I think I would recommend still. I don't think wholesaling is probably like your margins are going to be hit hard if you're going to wholesale properties. And so, I mean, Paul and I's our margins are like 85%. If you're going to wholesale something, your margin going to be way, way lower, probably even lower than 50%, almost certainly lower than 50%. So I don't think that's the best strategy. I think it would be a lot better to find capital partners, or I think that would be a good way to get started. Um, so, I mean, you could wholesale. It's just you're just not going to make that much money per deal, and it's a lot harder to find wholesale buyers. I think just even in general, cash buyers are harder to come by, even if they are investors. That's just been my experience. So I think I would recommend strongly, if you don't need that much money, I would, even if you have $3,000, I would just buy cheap property, 500 to $2,000, and buy a bunch of those. And then once you exhaust that, maybe start looking for capital partners. But I don't know if wholesaling is the best strategy that I would undertake, just because the margins are going to be hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, let's see what else we got here. Aaron Perez says, how necessary is a website when starting off? I would say for your first several deals, you don't need a website. I think if you're once you establish yourself and you're trying to scale, that's when driving traffic to a website can help quite a bit. But I mean, right off the bat, you're probably not going to need one, just because you're not going to have, when you first start, you're going to be buying a few properties, even 3 to 5 properties. That's not really enough to like fill up a website. I would say once you get beyond owning 3 properties, 5 properties, that at that point, like you start to have a marketplace on your site and start driving traffic to that. What's your opinion on that, Paul?
Yeah, I think, I mean, honestly, with things like Carrot, you can get it done in a day. And I mean, it just depends on how seriously you're taking the business. My recommendation is like build a brand. If you're building a brand or if you're taking this seriously and you're planning on making a career or business out of it, I would, if you're going to go and make an LLC and whatever, you really should make a website. And it's so easy with stuff like Carrot and, just the tools out there with pre-made templates. You can just drop and drag or basically drop and drag and ready to go. So, I mean, if you don't have a website and you are taking this business seriously, you're just being lazy. It will never hurt you to have a website. It will only help you.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of take that back. It's only like $50 a month to get started with the Carrot website, so I think it can't hurt to have that. And I do think it builds a lot of credibility. So, I mean, if you have once you get like 3 properties, maybe you could start throwing up a website. But I think you're right, and it does add a lot of credibility. So, and start driving traffic, learning good practices. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Sam Do asked, what resources / sites do you utilize to find a hot market for blind offer campaign? So, we use just freely available data on websites like Zillow, but we go into like super depth in our course on like how we do it. There's not enough time to go into it right now. I don't know. What did you say?
Sorry, the question was about how we
find a hot market.
Find a hot market. Yeah. So, we leverage, data. It's all about data. And I think that's what we do differently than most others in the space is we hyper target areas that are the hottest markets. So we're not blasting mail to a full county. I did that when I got started and it turned out really, really badly. I think as you're getting started, the most important aspect of your land investing business is choosing a good area to invest. And if you're blasting out the full county, you're doing it wrong. You need to go to areas within the counties and look for activity and people selling property. And so, yeah, we leverage sold data. We try to go to where the existing markets are, and so that's how we do it. And I think that our methodology, the way we go about it, is a really data-driven approach, and I think it works out very well.
Here's a good one. What is the best purchase price point you have noticed works best for your business model strategy? So that's like I feel like that is such a it depends on the area that you're buying in, and not just county, but each city by city, it's different. And so that there's really not a good way to answer that question. And it also depends on what your goals are and what your budget is. So it's a very subjective question, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it is. There's a market for all types of property, all property types, all property prices. I think no matter what, you need to kind of figure out where, so you find a market where you think there's the most activity. Within that market, you can back into, okay, what price point do I need to get into this market? And so find the markets where there's the most activity happening. Find the markets where you think you'll be able to sell the property the quickest. And then at that point, back into, okay, all right, here's going to be my offer price in that area. And so I would say it's more driven on data and where the activity is happening rather than the price point. So, if there's a ton of activity in a higher price point neighborhood, there's generally less of those from my experience, but they definitely exist. I think there's a lot of markets that are on the cheaper end that are there's a lot of activity happening. But I would say it's more dependent on where the activity is happening rather than the price point. So just find markets where there's stuff happening and where there's sales happening, hit those areas well, and don't pay as much attention to the price point. But I would say on average, cheaper property tends to be there tends to be more activity happening in cheaper markets, but that's not always the case.
Let's see. Are there any new questions right now?
So I've got some questions for you.
Me?
Yeah. So I guess you came from the Amazon space, but you've come from a completely different background. What was your mentality getting into this business? And I mean, I know you were very aggressive, so maybe you could talk about the mentality you had getting into the land business.
Yeah. So when I first met you, you kind of told me about what you do and the land business and your margins, and I frankly thought you were lying. Like I literally thought you were lying. Um, and then I took your course, and I was planning on I was going to do it with my cousin. Because we were friends, and I kept asking him like, dude, are you gonna like scale this up? This seems like the most scalable business I've ever seen. And you're like, oh no, like I think I'm just gonna like you ran it as like a lifestyle, and you're like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna like chill and grow my coaching business. I don't want to buy more land. It's too much risk. And then I'm like, this is like, what is wrong with you? Like, is there like, dude, you have this awesome opportunity in front of you. We need to do something about it. And so I was like, all right, well, if he's going to do this, I'm going to go and learn how to do this and build it myself with my cousin. He was in commercial real estate. That's David. And then one day I kept telling William, like, dude, let's partner up. Let's partner up. Like, I have all the skills to basically explode this business from my background in marketing and sales, from my Amazon business. And you were kind of hesitant because you wanted to you didn't want to take any risks, basically. And then one day, maybe we were on a boat, and I don't know, were you drunk or something? I finally convinced you on the boat. I'm like, dude, we can make this thing massive. Like, we'll infuse a bunch of money in this and buy a bunch of properties. We'll put a team together, and we can scale this so quickly. And then finally, you were just like, all right, let's do it. And we haven't looked back since. And now we've basically hit every single benchmark that we've set, and then some, in way shorter period of time than we expected. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and so, but yeah, talk about the mindset because I know you came in and you were not like messing around. You wanted to get very aggressive very early. So I guess what about your background and I guess what made you want to come in so aggressive?
I would say everything I do, I'm very aggressive with. Like, my business. My first business, I scaled it to 7 figures in I want to say the first 9-10 months, and that was my very first business I ever did. Like, I never even had started a business before. So everything I do, I basically put in like all my energy into it. I eat, sleep, and breathe whatever I'm doing. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, in my head, like, I knew exactly how to do this. And so I made a plan, and I'm like, this is how it's going to work. These are the people that we need to hire. And I'm really good at seeing like where the ball is going. And then like your skill set is the operations and like making sure that that plan is executed on. And that's why we've become an awesome team. And so I knew right away, like when we clicked, that we could move really fast. And so I would just say my mindset with everything I do, I either do it all or I don't do it at all. I either do it all the way or I don't do it at all.
Yeah, no, I
Wouldn't,
definitely
wouldn't
agree.
you wouldn't you agree that that's kind of how I take everything on?
Yeah, no, it was 0 to 100 real fast. So yeah, I mean it's good meeting people who yeah, it was good meeting another entrepreneur. I don't meet many entrepreneurs at our age who are like full time and kind of doing it at our level, and so it was refreshing. And you came up. I mean, we both have like the same kind of mindset, and so I mean I think that's why it worked, and we have very different skill sets. So Jermaine and Faith Hill says, what is the ratio on deals you do owner finance versus cash? What is the average length in terms you do? 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, etc. So, I mean, at this point, it's like it's almost 100% terms. We don't even like offer cash really because I mean, our whole funnel and everything is designed towards guiding people towards the term sale. If we wanted to do more cash, we could guide people more towards a cash sale, but that's not our goal. So I mean, it's north of 80% cash, or sorry, north of 80% terms. And I would say the length of the term, it
It's like
depends on
three.
the deal. Sometimes, uh, so yeah, I mean, we'll offer a few different options on for each listing, but I would say on average it's probably 48 to 60 months in that range. It used to be shorter for my old WG Lands business. That was my old business. It used to probably be closer to 30 to 36 months. But over time, I've realized that like if you just give people a little bit more time or a little bit lower monthly payments, they're going to be more interested in buying from you. Yeah, so I mean, sometimes we do offer terms closer to like 8 years. That's probably like the max. I mean, we're not trying to hold these notes forever. So it really depends, but I would say 48 to 60 months is probably on average. So nothing too crazy. It's not like we're holding 30-year mortgages like we're a bank. That's not the goal, and we would never see our money back. So I think it's important to kind of realize the strategy for offering owner financing is to make sure you're getting your money back in a reasonable time frame. Because if you are if you're putting out money and buying property and you're not getting your money back for several years, then you're probably not going to be able to grow and scale. So that's really the basis for how we make decisions on owner finance deals.
I love this question that Rich just asked. Paul, why is land better than Amazon? Less headaches, more margin? Question mark.
So are these coming on YouTube or Facebook?
Facebook.
Okay.
YouTube is pretty quiet right now. Yeah. So basically, this question, I wouldn't say it's complicated, but there's many layers to this. Like, so Amazon, I would say like when I started it, like almost 5 years ago now, Amazon was like really, really easy, little competition. You could go on like Alibaba, pick anything, put it on Amazon, and you're just cruising. And the last like 2.5 to 3 years, it's just been flooded with competition. And it's gotten so difficult. They made everything. It's basically very expensive to get started in Amazon. The margins are basically a third. So like if you're operating on a net margin of like 25% on an e-commerce business, you're doing really well. And our land business, we're operating around like 75 to 80% net margins, which is insane. And also like land, you're investing in real assets versus Amazon. You're investing in inventory, and that inventory could go stale. The inventory, product trends can change. Amazon could wipe out your listing. And like overall with Amazon, you're playing in Amazon's sandbox. So they make all the rules. And with the land business, you're in charge of everything. And they're like, as soon as I realized, like, because the only business I knew was like playing by someone else's rules. And when I realized I could try and do anything, I've just been, we try everything. Like, it's like a breath of fresh air, like not having someone else in control of what you can and can't do in your business.
Yeah, no, I totally, it totally makes sense to me. And I can see why this was a breath of fresh air for you, because there's so much less to deal with having like these Chinese listers like hack your listings.
Yeah, like there was like my account gets hacked. My listings get hacked and taken down sometimes, and like just bad stuff happens all the time. And it's just like there's so much that's out of my control, and I hate it. I hate it.
Cool. So I guess we got one more question. Since you were doing 80% seller finance, are you do more leveraging by selling partials on your notes, or buy more land to invest, or buy more land to invest? So we're not selling any of our notes, just because a lot of the buyers out there would probably want a major discount. And honestly, I love the notes because it is like
we'd love to buy other people's notes.
Yeah, I'd love to buy other people's notes. Other people would just ask for too big of a discount. There's not a huge market of buyers out there. And yeah, I just wouldn't want to offer that kind of discount. If there's a way to like get rid of them, but for a reasonable price, I would consider it and do that. But I mean, I don't mind holding notes. We've got a servicing team in place. We've got a system in place that does everything for us. So it's not a really big burden on our end. It would be nice to get some capital back here and there, but it's not a huge deal from our end. So, Paul, let's get this wrapped up. So I got to go in a minute, but why don't you just talk about what things would you do if you're just getting started over again? What would you do differently?
Yeah. So what I would do is I would go out and figure out what area you want to be in, and then just like go out and buy a bunch of properties in that area. Like get a package deal of like 5, 10 or 15 properties, and then you're off to the races. You don't have to wait for mail. You don't have to wait for like figuring out what the pricing should be. And you can really just jump in with a splash and cut your learning curve like way fast and just start selling right away. and then you can basically have properties for sale while your mail is being sent out. So I would say just buying a bunch of properties in one area and listing them on your website and start selling. And there's lots of places where you can get properties like besides like direct mail. I would say finding like someone that has a wholesale package of properties in one area, that's like an ideal situation to start for when you're starting your new business, or if you just want to bulk up your inventory listings.
Yeah, that's good advice. And I think I would just echo that. And I would add that I think if I were to get started again, I would just get more aggressive, because I mean, everyone, it's so easy to know that you're buying properties at such big discounts. So if you do have some money, I would try to get it invested as quickly as possible. You're going to buying properties at discounted prices, and so just get deal experience early on. Start offering owner finance earlier. That's one thing I would have done had I started over. I think that would have suited me very well. So few different tweaks. I would buy a bunch in one area. I don't know if I would necessarily diversify and buy all over the country. I'd try to choose a few different markets and just hit those and buy a bunch in those. I think that helps the kind of marketplace feel for your website. So yeah, and I would just make sure to diversify and buy a bunch of property. Don't buy just a few different properties as you're getting started. Try to buy cheaper properties if you only have a limited budget, and buy a bunch of them. But even at $500 to $1,000, like you could get started at that range. And yeah, try to get 5 to 10 in your inventory. I think those are all things that I would do getting started. And yeah, so that's about it. So Marcus says, how do you manage your note payments? We manage them. We have a virtual assistant team that manages them, does the follow-up, does the calls, the emails, text, and just manages the relationship there. So we try to outsource that so we don't have to. Yeah, so that's about it. So Mark. Okay. You can still hear me, Paul, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any final words, Paul? I mean, if you guys are interested, and we've got a Facebook group. It's called Land Flipping Formula. You could find us on there. Our website is landinvestingpros.com. If you're interested in learning more about us and what we have to offer, we've got a course and some bonuses there as well. So if you're interested, you go to landflippingformula.com, or sorry, landinvestingpros.com. And anything else, Paul?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing. I know there's a lot of people that they're thinking about, I want to start a business or whatever, and they're always like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or waiting for this or waiting for that. And I honestly would like to say that you have zero excuses unless you don't have the money to do it. There's no reason why, literally now is the perfect time for anyone that is interested in starting a business. Like, you have all this downtime, you literally can't go anywhere. And if you're semi interested in starting a business and you have some sort of excuses besides monetary reasons, and you're like, oh, I'll just wait for this or wait for that, you're just being lazy. And like, there's no better time than right now. We're buying properties cheaper, and we're selling every single day. And so, like, maybe it's not land, maybe it's some other thing, but all I want to say is use this downtime to better yourself. Use this time to learn a new skill, learn a new language, pick up something new that you've been thinking about doing, instead of sitting and playing like video games or feeling crappy because the world is freaking out right now. So just utilize this time to better yourself. And that's my going away advice.
Awesome. So Rich says, this was awesome. Appreciate your knowledge. Thanks, William Paul. No problem, Rich. Appreciate your time. Marcus says, thanks, guys. Thanks, Marcus. All right. Well, let's get this wrapped up. I'll end the stream here. Appreciate everyone watching. And maybe we'll plug in again tomorrow.
Yeah, with less technical glitches.
Yeah,
so thanks for everyone that stayed on.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.